Welcome, I'm Cary,
I'm Stephen.
and welcome to the Feebleminded Film Critics podcast. We are going to, in our first official episode, be discussing the 100 best movies of the 21st century from the New York Times. And we're starting with number 100, which was Superbad, and number 99, Memories of Murder. But before we do that, what you been up to, Stephen? You good?
I am getting over a cold, which I had all last week, which is a fun way to watch two movies if you're hopped
Yeah.
up on
Hopped up
Dayquil.
on. Yep.
Luckily, I watched Superbad right before I got really sick, and then I waited to watch Memories of Murder until the worst had passed. So they just kind of book-ended my illness, which is
I would argue Memories of Murder would be much worse to endure on cough syrup.
a hundred
To be
percent.
all, that would be awful.
I think cough syrup would improve the experience of Superbad.
Yes, yes, I think you're right.
So kind of missed the boat on Superbad, just getting sick right after. But yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was definitely like when I was thinking about Memories of Murder, I was like, I can't watch this until like I'm mostly healed, until
yeah.
I'm mostly well. But in the center of that, in the middle of that, most of the week, my comfort shows were Frasier, of course, and
Oh,
also
classic, the
and
best.
yeah, the best. And I've been working through Deadwood, which is an HBO miniseries back from like 2003, I think, early
Yeah, you
2000s.
you introduced me to that one. I've been looking at. I started it. I've watched
Okay,
like two episodes. It's great. It's great.
it's really good.
Um,
I
the
didn't know you had started to watch it.
I did, yeah. I just a couple of them. But I bounce around. I also
Yeah.
went back and like rewatched The Bear uh
Oh,
up to like the new season. And it's great, but man, if you are in the middle of any sort of stress in your life, that is not what you want to sit and watch. It
the
is
yeah,
intense.
the bear will amp up any stress that you have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like they need like a trigger warning. I mean, it's an amazing show. The soundtrack,
Yeah.
I like couldn't get over. I like found on Spotify the season two playlist and just
Season
was listening to it like crazy. It's just amazing.
The season two playlist is really, really good. I do remember when I watched that one. Season two also, that cinematography in that one I thought was excellent.
Yeah,
There's like a few episodes where I was just like, the camera is in love with these characters. Like the camera
right.
loves
Yeah,
them. They frame them with as much care as they frame the food.
right. Yeah, yeah. And I saw. Do you remember the episode in Copenhagen where the pastry chef goes to Copenhagen?
Yeah.
Um, that episode is absolutely beautiful, and it was directed by Rami Youssef. Um,
Really? I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, and I like everything he does.
Yeah, Rami Youssef is
So I
cool.
was stoked to see that. That was really cool.
That is neat. I didn't know he was directing too. What a talented young man.
Yeah, he's got it all.
He's got it all. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to this week. But beyond watching The Bear, what have you been up to this week?
Well, it was the first week back to school, and as a teacher, that teacher work week is it has all the stress of teaching with none of the joy because there's no kids there.
Right.
So it's just like uh, a lot of complaining and meetings and things like that. So in the spare time that I had, um, between putting my daughter down to sleep
Yeah.
and whatever I could find, we've been watching. My wife and I love Veep, and
Oh.
we've stumbled back into a rewatch of that every night before we go to sleep.
Oh man.
Um, and between that and Frasier, it's like an alternating thing. Frasier, and I don't know if it's because I've watched it so much. It is so easy to just drift off to sleep
Yeah.
while it's on, which is a terrible habit, and I need to stop doing that. Um,
No, I don't know.
and yeah, right, yeah.
I think it's
do
fine.
you? Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I invited my wife Caroline to watch these two movies
Uh-huh.
with me. She was game for Superbad.
Yeah.
Didn't get through the whole thing.
Right.
And wanted nothing to do with memories. She was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Just it's so." And she was like, no, I'm not doing this." Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one to broach. But Veep, my wife and I love Veep as well. And that's one of Mary's favorite shows is Veep. It's such a wonderfully funny and chaotic show.
Oh, it's amazing. And we were just where are we? We're like season 3 in our like rewatch, and so Jonah Ryan has just started his like underground
dude
media conglomerate or whatever he's trying to do. And he's just failing at every turn, and he's just so funny.
Yeah,
because he's just the worst human being on earth. He's surrounded by other terrible people.
Yeah, and somehow he's still one of the worst people.
Yeah, right. Like they are sickened by him, and they do some horrible things.
Yeah, they're not model citizens in the least. That show is so funny. Jonah Ryan, it must have been a joy to play any of those terrible characters.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she is so funny, but then she can really turn it on when she needs to.
Mm-hmm.
She's just such a talented actor. I mean, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, but I just once I found her Veep too, I was like, okay, she's another one like Rami. She's got it all.
Have you seen the movie You Hurt My Feelings?
That's the new one, right? That she's in?
It's newer, yeah, in the past few years. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's on Netflix. Either. But she plays a writer who overhears her husband bad-mouthing her most recent book. And it's just about, you hurt my feelings. Like, it's just about how that feels. But I've heard it's very good.
I mean, I can assume that she's going to kill it.
Exactly.
But it'd be fun to see her in that kind of light.
100%.
Not necessarily a comedy.
Well, speaking of terrible characters, should we jump into Superbad?
Great segue.
Yeah, so Superbad, 2007.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. But I don't know if yes, it is 2007.
Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg writing, Jonah Hill, Michael Cera starring. Whenever I come to one of these movies, one of these like R-rated movies from the early aughts, my question is always how long until we get to the first F slur that we no longer use, but was very much in vogue at the time. 10 minutes for Superbad.
Okay, that was good. I did make a note of the language that is it definitely didn't age well.
Yeah.
But it does capture the adolescent slang for the time.
You definitely they talked the way that kids talked that I knew.
Right. Yeah. And then, we I think we talked about this in the earlier episode where we were both in middle school at the time that this comes out, so we see it a few years later down the line for the first time. And I don't know if it was for you, but once I saw it, then it was like almost permission to kind of act like that with my friends.
Sure.
Which is not good, but it is what it is,
Right.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes though. That's pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
And I'm assuming it's Jonah Hill. I don't remember.
No,
but I would assume it isn't.
He does use it. He uses it to make fun of Fogel. He changes the first letter of his name. Mm-hmm. But it's said to him for the first time from a bully, and I will.
The guy who like spits on him.
Yes, it's said by him. I will say the movie, for using that word at the time, it never ever uses it in like a way that would suggest that good people use that word. It's used by the bully, and then it's used by Jonah Hill's character Seth at his worst moments.
Yeah.
He only uses it when he's really making fun of Fogel, who the movie takes a very sympathetic eye to. So it's always used as a bullying term, someone using it on a person of lesser power, their perceived structure of a social status. And I don't know. I thought that was interesting at least, because I was just like, oh, this isn't like a celebrated term in this film.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't think about it as the kind of like the social structure situation. I think I had
Hmm.
always just kind of written it off as middle or not middle school. I guess they're seniors in high school. So high
Yeah.
schoolers um, speaking one way with their friends and then
Hmm.
going into some other stuff. Um, when they're sorry, I'm distracted because I can hear my wife yelling at with my daughter in the other room.
That's all right.
Um, anyway, yeah, the being able um, to kind of use that language, capture how they're talking, but
Hmm.
not make it something that allows us to not sympathize with the characters is
Yes.
something that this movie does really well. And I don't know that that can necessarily be said for all of that kind of decade or that time of comedy movies.
No.
Or all of the like teen comedy movies that exist, even some of the older ones, from the
Yeah.
I feel like there's a
Like
lot
there's
of
like
80s
John
ones.
Hughes era.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The John Hughes stuff is interesting because this would be in direct conversation with those. And those John Hughes movies often also took loser characters and spotlighted them, like with The Breakfast Club. Like there are some popular people there, but in that moment, they're all in detention. They're all like losers. They're all kind of outsiders. Um,
Right. And you've also got like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You've
mhm.
got um what's the other one? Days and Confused. And
Yeah.
they're all about like these young people who are outsiders trying to figure out either how to get alcohol or how to get they're trying to be adults,
Yeah.
they're trying to
Absolutely.
they're in their own way. It's a great like time period to capture that kind of coming of age story.
Of course.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Did you feel like did you enjoy it? So you had not seen it probably since the first time you saw it.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it since I think I'd only seen it one time before. It was in high school, and I never watched it again.
Okay.
So it had been almost a full like 10 years ish since I had seen it. No, longer than that. How old am I? I'm like 30. I'm like in my early 30s, so it had been a long time.
Right. Yeah.
It had been like a decade and a half since I had seen
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like watching it for the first time. There's a lot I didn't remember about the movie. I remembered it mostly just the Jonah Hill, Michael Cera parts, the Seth
Right.
and Evan
Yeah.
parts. I had forgotten how big of a role the Bill Hader and Seth Rogen cops were, and
Yeah.
how big of a part of that movie was Vogel's arc.
Right. Yeah. It's like almost 50-50 for a while there. Like
Yeah,
it once they kind of split off, you're kind of like, okay, we're done with Fogel, but that is not the case. You are back and forth constantly.
and in my head,
Um,
Fogel was just a bit character. He was just a side character, but
yeah.
he is one of the main characters. He gets just as much screen time as the other guys, probably a little less, but almost just as much.
Right. Yeah. And he is I heard an interview with and I cannot remember the name of that actor. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. Um
It's Christopher Mintz Place.
that's right. Okay, so I just saw
Or
like a clip
plus.
from an interview with him where he was talking about in his audition, he went in and kind of just, they're doing a lot of riffing at that time. There's
Hmm.
in comedy movies, there's so much of it that's kind of off the cuff and ad libbed, and so he was riffing with Jonah Hill and Michael Cera,
Hmm.
and Jonah Hill was like visibly annoyed by Christopher Mintz Place,
Okay.
and he's like he can't handle it. Like he left the room, and Jonah turned to everybody, like Seth Rogen's in there, all those guys, and he's like, "No, not him. He
Really?
he was pissing me off, not that guy." And they were like, "Well, we have to do it now." Like it was perfect, and that's how he got the gig. And I
That's
was like, "That is
crazy.
so funny."
Interesting. That's an interesting casting. That's an interesting way to cast where you're just like, we want that friction to appear on camera, so let's have some of it be real.
Well, Well, and seeing that, I was like, well, they got it. That's exactly what they got, because
Yeah.
like you can feel that Jonah's character is just, well, he's kind of, off the deep end anyway with his whole um, any sort of social interaction that he's a part of, just takes a dive into some weird sexual fantasy that he has. But
That's true.
The frustration and I think it comes through really well, with between him and Fogel. I
Yeah.
just think it's hilarious that that's how it started, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what you get.
No, I love it. What one other notable thing here before we get into any like big overarching plot things? First Emma Stone film, which is pretty cool. Obviously she's huge now, but to see her just like here as a character in one of these films. Obviously, this is before Easy A, where she really hit it big as her
Right.
first starring role. But it is funny just to trace some of these actors who are such big names to be like, this is your first film, Superbad, really? But she's great. She's great right
She
out of the
is.
gate.
Yeah, she has always seemed that she is true to herself, and she's
Hmm.
developed so much as an
Oh
actress
yeah,
or as an actor over this time period. But she, from the get-go, I mean, she had to have been what, maybe 18, 19, somewhere in there in this
somewhere in
movie.
there.
And she's got this kind of confidence that I think is very characteristically um, her vibe.
Yes.
And so to see her starting with that, or to even to give her the opportunity,
Hmm.
when you think about casting and all that stuff, to kind of be like that, and then she gets a role like Easy A, and you're like, oh, so she just must be like that, because she
Yeah, she
she
just must be great.
continues, yeah, to that kind of I don't want to call it a shtick, because I think it's more. I think she's letting a little bit more of her personality take into it, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think she's really fantastic, and it was fun to see her in there. The cops were great. I thought Bill Hader and Seth Rogen were hilarious in this movie. It must have been an early film for Bill Hader, but he would have been on SNL at this time, I think. It did kind of feel that he had some like anger in this one, and it did kind of feel like a little bit of proto Barry, a
yeah, yeah,
little.
yeah.
Just maybe it's just because he's holding a gun. Cops had some of my favorite jokes in there in general. I think the cops might have been my favorite part coming away from this one. One of my favorite parts is such a weird bit part, but they're at the bar with Fogel, and
Yeah.
they're you can hear the radio chatter going, and you hear like it's like shots fired, and then you hear someone screaming over the radio like so much blood, and Bill Hader turns off the radio and continues
Yes, yeah.
the conversation, and I was just like, that's fantastic because they 100% answered immediately to the bar one, and then that one they're just like no.
They're like, no, yeah,
And that's when
yeah.
you
They have,
really realize how terrible of policemen they are.
right. Well, and that was what I had written down this question, because, as we'll talk about with our next movie,
Mm.
it's an interesting pairing.
Mm.
We've got two police narratives,
I see where you're going.
in a way.
Mm.
But with Superbad, the obvious beginning spot is like, okay, the incompetence of the police,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in there trying to speak to the woman who was robbed at the liquor store, and they're just getting everything wrong.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they're pointing, they're like, was he like you, was he like me, and that whole exchange. And so they're just useless. But then by the end, um, it's almost as if they are rebelling against the police force as much as Fogel. I think the
Yeah.
last thing we see of them is them like running away from the cops so that they can like get rid of their cop car. Like, aren't they
Yeah.
like, the cops are coming? Yeah.
Yeah. They
So,
they blow up their cop car as an
right.
excuse, and they make Fogel sign a fake report about what happened to the cop car, that it was like stolen or something,
stolen by
like a
that's right.
crackhead. Uh,
Yes,
and then they do donuts in this abandoned parking lot, and then they set it on fire with a Molotov cocktail. I think that's the last you see of them.
that's it. That is it. Yeah. But then I think while I'm watching that in the before the end,
Mm,
I'm like, okay, well, what's the statement on the justice system here?
mm,
What's the state of it in 2007? What are they kind of making fun of?
yeah.
And then the end threw me for a loop because I was like, oh, I guess that kind of, I mean, I don't know. I guess it kind of reinforces just the incompetence of the police, but I don't know if that's all that they're trying to say. So I wanted to see what you were thinking on that.
Yeah, I think as far as like I I did wonder when I was watching this movie, because spoiler alert to anyone listening who doesn't know us already, uh we were both English majors in college, and so we are used to analyzing things.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, we're going, yeah, they're
that'll come
going
through.
places that. No, you go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, no, we're definitely going places, and so like I do wonder sometimes where I'm just like, like thinking about the justice system. I was like, were Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg trying to make a statement
Right,
on the
right.
justice system in this film? But I do think that they are intelligent, smart writers, and that they would just be responding to what happened at the time. And I think that they, if anything, it feels like they were more coming from like more of like a collegey kind of like fuck the police kind of thing. I
Yeah, yeah.
But I think they were trying to go for a, we don't like authority, we don't like these traditional aspects and pillars of power, and we're making fun of police. And they also recognized a trend of racism in police, which we've seen exemplified in the news, especially just 10 years after this
Right, yeah.
film came out. So they had their finger on the pulse for how terrible cops can be, in certain aspects, profiling, that kind of thing. Let's get into the arcs of the characters of Seth and Evan, and in
Yeah.
general, like what the film is trying to say with them. Because at the beginning of the film, we see Seth and Evan, and particularly Seth, but also Evan is giving into it too. Like the way they talk about women is so awful and objectifying, and it's obviously the purpose of it, right? Everything that they are doing and thinking about when it comes to women is women are a means to sex, and sex is the goal, right?
Right, right.
And but
Not right, but there for their characters. That is
yes.
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how they feel, that's how they see the world, that's the vibe that they're looking through all of this. And then as the movie continues, where we end is they obviously learn their lessons, and they learn that that women are people too, which maybe should have
Right.
been obvious to them from the beginning. But they basically get to the point where they should be at, where they start to care for these women characters, just as seeing them as people and seeing them as relationships instead of anything else. It,
Well, I think that it's definitely the case for Seth,
yeah,
that he's got to learn that lesson. But I do feel like Evan is constantly giving that, trying to make that argument, and he's always like, no, she needs to be respected,
mm,
and I'm not going to do that. And then when he finally gets to spend that time at the party
yeah.
with Becca, is that the name of the?
I think it's her.
Yeah, he he's really upset by it. He's like,
Yeah,
this isn't what I want. I don't think you want it
yeah,
to be like that. Like he's a good guy. And I think including him and having him next to Jonah Hill's character Seth, it gives teenagers watching it, I think, the opportunity to be like, yeah, we all have a Seth in our group, but it's not me.
mm,
I can be the Evan. I'm the,
yeah,
I'm going to be the good guy. And I definitely felt like, um, I feel like when I was a teenager watching that was kind of the lens I was looking through. And it
right,
was like, oh my gosh, this Seth guy's out of control.
yeah,
But at least he's got Evan, that kind of
yes,
thing. Which is the whole point of the story.
yeah, 100%.
Is them having to, go their separate ways for college is kind of where this is all headed.
I was worried in the film when their whole goal was to get these women drunk and then sleep with them. The implications around that really became a conversation piece after this movie had been out for a long time. Wasn't as necessarily as big of a conversation piece, but the conversations around consent and everything like that, certainly as the internet and social media grew, that became a bigger focal point. So I was worried if they would have a very regressive look at that, but they do address it head on. And they are saying with Evan's arc there, because he doesn't sleep with her when she's drunk because it's wrong and he doesn't like it. And so I was like, oh, okay, like they're really thinking about the sort of implications of all this stuff, because there's a movie, I don't know if you remember or if you've heard of it, but there's a movie back in, like, I think it was the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, but it was called Revenge of the Nerds.
I've never seen it, but I know about it. I know of it.
Yeah, and in that movie, there's very famously there's a scene where a character has sex with a woman without her consent at a party like this sort of setup, and so they are subverting that sort of trope in this movie too. They're saying like this is their plan, but they realize that it's bad and wrong to do, and that it wouldn't be fulfilling for the character, but that it also would be really bad for her.
And then the character of Seth, the end of his arc, because again, very much the same thing, and he's hyper focused on the alcohol, right? He's doing everything he can to get the alcohol because he believes that that's the key to getting Jules, Emma Stone's character, to sleep with him. But the whole, and I think this is what Seth and Evan do really well, not the characters but the writers, is they find this humorous space, and then they always keep the through line of the heart in there, and so there's never going to be a spot where we go too far into, like you're saying, like there's some sort of any sort of inappropriate like sexual, you know what I mean, like that's not going to happen, because you get to this point. And I think with Seth and Jules, he's like, oh, you love to drink, and you got to drink or this isn't going to happen, kind of thing. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't drink, right? It's a party. I'm just making sure everyone's like happy. And then he's like, you're ruining, like he like gets all upset. He's like, and then he headbutts her or whatever when he passes out. But it's this it's the scene at the very end where they run into the girls at the mall. That I think is what I think is the signature of this style of comedy, right? There are things like that in some of the other movies that were, I think it's probably the same production company as like 4-Year-Old Virgin and things like that. And so they all have that kind of like sympathetic, like, no, we or even, we care about these guys, and we want what's best for them. And nobody, even though they might be trying to get this, the goal for them in the beginning is to have sex before they go off to school, nobody's really like rooting for that to happen. And then what we get is so much better than that. It's like so much more satisfying as an audience, or at least as a modern audience.
I think so. I agree with you. Two thoughts, and then we should move on to Memories of Murder, because we're about halfway through this podcast episode. So like Fogel's arc is kind of like him accepting himself, learning to accept himself through this counter identity of McLovin, and gain like that self-confidence in himself. But do you think that the cops fake arresting him at the end of the party for clout undermines that sort of self-confidence arc that he has?
Ooh. Well, he is yes, I think it does.
Yeah.
Well, because the one thing that is clear is when they're taking him out, he's yelling the "I'm Fogel, I am Fogel" kind of thing.
He is running himself, yeah.
So he's dropped the McLovin kind of facade at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So he has outgrown the need to do that, I guess. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, he's and now that actually seems confusing because didn't he only get with that girl because he was older and he was because he was
No.
McLovin?
No, I think because that girl knew him from school, so he was.
Did she though? Because she was like, I've never been with an older guy. I thought she had thought he
Oh.
was older. I thought he was still being
Oh,
McLovin.
was he still McLovin?
I thought at the party
Hmm.
that was the whole thing.
Okay. I thought by the time he got to the party, he had dropped it since that the people from school knew who he was. But um,
Well, it
your
could just
memory
be
might be better.
it could just be the confidence that we see in him
Hmm.
that we're dubbing McLovin that isn't the Fogel
Yeah.
character. You know, so he comes in, and whether he's saying I'm Fogel or I'm McLovin at that point, he is the McLovin character. He has
Yeah.
become that kind of overconfident figure.
Hmm.
But then when they take him out, um, I don't know. I don't know if I think it undermines his self-confidence arc, but I also think it's exactly what a high school senior boy would want to happen.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think it's kind of like the best choice for,
Yeah,
for a comedy movie anyway.
I'll agree with that. And then my other thought was, do you think the purpose of the adult house party that they sneak into, led by the guy who plays Boyle on Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah,
Uh,
Joe Lotriglio or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
who has
he's so funny.
he's so funny. I was so excited to see him. There's a lot of big names sort of in that party, including a not big name, but a big name for me. The guy who played Bernard in the Santa Claus with Tim Allen is in that adult house party. I, I clocked him. I was like, "Is that the guy?" And it is. But do you think that adult house party just sort of acts as like a dark mirror for what their futures could be like, unless they like turn themselves around and don't just start chasing like the alcohol and everything like that?
Well, that's funny because you're touching on something that I was going to bring up. Because this is a journey, right?
Yeah.
They're on a journey, and part of the journey is to go into the unknown world and come out of it learning something. And so I think that's almost their initiation into this world of quote unquote adulthood.
Yeah. A version
and
of it.
and they're terrified.
Yeah, they are. They do not want to be there. Hey, like
Especially Evan.
Yeah, Evan does not want to be
he
there.
has to sing that song, and it's just awful.
I forgot about the song. Yeah, no, they're absolutely terrified to be there. But yeah, good. I would say I was glad to watch it, and I think that I understand why it's on the top 100 list.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting as we go through this list to look at where comedy falls, and for something that is just an outright. I mean, I think another one on this list is Anchorman, which is probably the most like straight up comedy, like than much more than this movie probably.
I think so. I can't remember a narrative in Anchorman.
Right. I think as we look at the different comedies that show up, we'll see that this is one of the ones that I think is defining for that the young people of that time as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, because it was a kind of a cult classic in the beginning, right? And then it kind of just blew up.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think the other point, that one thing we haven't talked about yet that I wanted to get in there before we switch, is the music is amazing. All the funk music and all this stuff. It's so much fun.
They do the music, like the beginning opening credit scene with them dancing. That opening credit song is fantastic.
So all of that stuff, it just kind of speaks to to the humor of it all, to the, not taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it deserves its spot on the list for sure.
Yeah, I think it was great. Next movie, totally shifting tones.
Ooh, yeah.
Memories of Murder. You said your wife was not into watching this one. My wife sat sort of terrified on the couch watching this. Not terrified, but like horrified because it's horrific.
It is horrific. Yeah, and it's one of those movies where you're kind of nervous that if someone's going to walk by at the wrong moment and be like, "What are you watching?"
Yeah.
And you're also like, "I don't know. What am I watching? Like, this is awful."
Yes.
So I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But I think that was what kept happening with my wife. And she was like, "Yeah, you can watch this one on your own."
Yeah.
She also is not a big fan of subtitles.
Okay.
This one was out from the get-go for her.
She doesn't like to read and watch at the same time. I get it. I am a big fan of subtitles because I watch most of my English speaking movies with subtitles on because I just have terrible hearing sometimes when I'm watching something.
Right.
So I'm used to reading and watching a movie. So if it's in a different language, I'm just like same as for me.
Yeah.
So same goes. So Memories of Murder, Bong Joon-ho, director. Obviously a now legendary director and including in English speaking places. I think this was a very early movie of his second, I think. And then Song Kang-ho, who again, very famous now actor in America, but at the time just a Korean actor. But Song Kang-ho also was the guy who starred in Parasite, which we'll see at the end. What a bummer this movie is. To put it lightly.
Well, should we give an idea of what it's about, or are we going to go into all of that?
I feel like we should go into what it's about because like the idea of this, I think Superbad didn't need to have too much of a conversation around it because I think most people know what it is who might be listening. But Memories of Murder, in case you skipped it, in case you don't want to watch subtitled films, we can kind of tell you. Do you want to give the lowdown?
Well, essentially, and you can jump in whenever. It's a detective story. It's taking place in it's the late '80s, right?
Yes.
In a small town in Korea, and it's these young women have been it keeps happening that they've been raped and killed all throughout this small town, and they're trying to figure out who it is. And the process of them trying to figure out who has been murdering these girls is just so I mean, as awful as the raping and murdering of anyone is, their process is equally as horrific and dark, and they're trying to pin it on some people with mental challenges or and it's just they're beating people and torturing people, and it's just hard to watch. And anyway, so then a detective from the big city comes in to try to help him out, and I was surprised, and I'd like to hear what you think of this. Yes, he comes from Seoul. Thank you. When that detective shows up, I was expecting him to be appalled with what he saw, with how they were handling this situation. I did not get that from the character, or from the film, really.
Yeah.
And I think later on, there's they're in the morgue, and the detective I wish I knew the name of the small town.
I don't think they give the name of the small town.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea because this is based off of a true story.
This is based off of real murders that happened in Korea at the time. These murders were going unsolved, so they didn't. I don't think they wanted to name the town out of respect,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I forget the actual town's name. I think is listed at the bottom of this page here. It was in a region called the Huaixiong area.
Okay.
So that's kind of the area, and they filmed there too, I believe.
Okay.
So
Well, so yeah, so the detective, um, who's from that area, the one played by um, Song Kang Ho,
yeah,
um, that guy asks the detective from Seoul if you see this a lot. Have you seen cases like this
yeah,
of this girl who's just her? I mean, it's not even just she's been raped and murdered. She's been. I mean, it's like
they're
mutilation. It's terrible. Yeah,
yeah they're
and
gagged with their own underwear.
yeah,
Their
it's
panties are placed over their head. They're strangled with their own bras. Like it's like and it's continually this mo. They
yeah,
they're always
and it
murdered
just
this way.
right. And yeah, I didn't know how specific we are gonna get with it, but yeah, that's exactly what's going on. And and there's they yeah, it's just and so well my I guess that was my question
Hmm.
is were you surprised by that reaction?
The guy from
That
Seoul was
the
just
guy from
kind of
Seoul is not, yeah, he's just kind of there.
yeah.
He's not showing up and kind of telling these new guys or the guys from the small town, this is not how things are done. And then when he asks him later, like, have you seen a lot of this kind of stuff? You're kind of like, oh, is this just what's,
Hmm.
is this how it works there? Is this,
I
is
I
was it
I
assumed that the police would capture and torture you for information at that point in time? Like that's where I was
yeah.
lacking some background knowledge for sure, but also just confused as to what the movie was trying to convey.
I felt like this movie was, without knowing much about the history of South Korea and their police department, I felt that this was an film that was specifically taking a pot shot at the way that police operated in the
Oh, yeah.
1980s. So my assumption is that this was the way that there were some police departments who were acting in this way in Korea, and because I believe in the Wikipedia article, I didn't have too much time to research this film because I watched it pretty close to our recording of this, but I believe I saw that the director Bong Joon Ho said that he wanted to make a detective movie that was based on real lived experiences of being in Korea, and that
Jeez.
I think that some of that, like the way, because I mean I think we can talk about the plot of the film because that's why we're here, and we honestly will. In order to talk about what is so impressive about this movie, we have to talk about the ending. So there will be spoilers
Right.
ahead, but there's they beat people into confessing. They torture people into confessing to crimes that they did not do simply because they have like a pretty good hunch that they may have done this. And my guess is that there was probably a lot of crimes that were solved by Korean police departments in that way. And that's
Right. Well, yeah, and Song Kang Ho, right from the get go, is talking about, I can tell, I can see
I
it,
could
look in the
tell it.
man's eyes,
Hmm.
and I can know if he's guilty or not.
Yeah.
And it seems as if the entire uh, police department is built on that kind of uh, idea. Like, nah, I just
Yes.
didn't have a good feeling about it. I'm gonna take him in, or I'm gonna beat him up until he tells
Yeah.
me what I want to hear.
One of the notes that I wrote down here is that they are obsessed with the easy answer. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
there's
it's
a
good.
part where Song Kang Ho's character, whose name is Park Duman. So there's a part where Detective Park goes to like a medium, like goes to like a psychic for information on the killer. Like
Yeah,
it's not even police work. And then he like takes that information and like they go out into the woods to pour dirt from the crime scene into some water and then spread that over a piece of paper which will reveal the face of the murderer or whatever. Like
right.
they're always looking for the easiest answer. even the detective from Seoul, the detective Seo, he's always looking for a easy answer as well, albeit in a different way. But they're always looking for. They find out that every night that the women are murdered, they're wearing red and it's raining. And then they find out that,
and then a song plays.
yeah, that there's always a song that plays on the nights that these women are murdered. So then they track down the from the place from the radio station. Well, whoever is playing this song continuously on this rainy night is the murderer, but that's not true either, right? But that's the easy answer that this detective from Seoul is looking for, because this is matching up with this MO, and that's what you often see in detective shows, right? Because I was watching it and I was like, that's the breakthrough. And
exactly,
and he subverts it because Bong Joon-ho goes, no, that's not the breakthrough. Because that leads them to a dead end, and where the local detectives are beating that man into submission and making him, say that he did it, kind of thing. So it's this whole thing of, no, the young man who was requesting the song, who's the prime suspect. He's the one who was requesting the song, right? The man that they beat up to try to convince, he was the one that they caught in the woods masturbating over a bra and panties, and they assumed that he was
in the place that there was
a murder
one
happened.
Of the murders, right? Yeah.
Which good hunch on that one. I did think they had the guy on that one. I was like, oh, this is the guy, but no, he's just a little freak. Who does
he was like, I read about it in the newspaper and it got me excited or whatever. Isn't that what he says?
Yeah. Yeah, it gets him excited and stuff, and you're just like, cool, don't do that anymore. He was also wearing like distinctively like red underwear, and that's how they find him in like this dig site that he tries to hide in.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's this film's a lot.
You're reminding me that they're, even throughout those moments, they keep pulling you back in to think that, like, oh no, he can look into their eyes and see the truth. He does see something that others don't see. And then it's just like, nope, another dead end. And there's this kind of it's almost like this absolutely hopeless case, and that's what drives us to where this film ends,
right?
Which is basically everybody just kind of falling into the dark abyss of of the situation.
Yeah, well, I
mean, I don't even know.
They push there's like one specific young man. He was the one who was requesting the songs to be played. He had also just arrived to that town at the same month that the murders started. So pretty good guess. Unattached young man from the military, arrives in town, starts murdering people. He requests the songs on the nights of the murders. And they find semen at one of the crime scenes. They send that off to have forensics on it. And they take his DNA to see if they match up. And the inspector from Seoul is convinced that this is the guy. And so they have him under 24-hour watch. He gets away from them one night, and it's a rainy night, and the inspector like tracks him down to try to find him before he kills again. And he has this guy. He's about to just take his own justice with this guy. So he's fallen as far, because when he gets
that's what I was saying. He falls just as far as where we were in the beginning.
Right.
So we've gone nowhere. If anything, nowhere. Backwards at that point.
Yeah. This guy's been brought down to the level of beating up suspects and forcing them to do, which he wasn't a part of when he got there. And he was always. I do think, to answer your question a little earlier, does he look down on those things? He does. He's always outside the room. He's always watching them, and I do think he's critical of their methods, but he goes right to it at the end, where he makes this young man basically this young man has to fight for his life to not be killed by this police officer,
Right.
and this investigator. And then he gets the results back in the rain, and he finds out that they're inconclusive, and so they have to let him go. He realizes, but he tries to shoot him. He does try to shoot him when they let him go, but the kid gets away. And yeah, and then the big part of the ending here, and I think the point of this movie, is at the very end, where like the point of the movie is the last line. So you have to talk about, like, the last line jumps to 2003, jumps to Detective Park, Song King Ho's character, and
Who's not a detective anymore.
He's living. He is married. He has a family, and he seems to be like a salesman of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And he's driving past the reed field where the first victim is found at the beginning of the movie. And the first victim is found in this little gutter that is next to this reed field where the runoff water goes. And he goes back to that same little gutter, and he looks through it. And there's a little girl who comes up and says, "Why are you looking in here?" And I saw another man looking in there, and he said that it reminded him of something he did there a long time ago.
Yeah.
And the Detective Park realizes she's met the murderer, and she asks him, or he asks her, what did he look like? And she just says, he looked ordinary.
Yep.
And that's the end of the movie, which really pissed my wife off, because she really wanted a definitive answer. But
it's the whole point, right? Is this idea that that darkness, the same darkness that the detectives fall into when they can't get their answers, this shadow world, doesn't require you to be some sort of demented kind of, goblin like person or some, it's you can't pinpoint that evil all the time. And I think that's it's the perfect way to end this movie. I think one thing that has been clear over, and I think we'll see a couple more movies by what's this director's name? Bong Joon-ho. By the time we get through this, I know we end with one.
Yeah.
But I do think that we will see that there will be some tightening of a couple screws. That there's some things that are a little wandering and a little out there. There's like anyway. But the ending is tremendous. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. Evil isn't special. And the darkness, and the darkness is always there, lurking under the brightness. Like that field that they begin that movie in is beautiful. It's this beautiful like rice paddy reed field, and it's right at the base of this mountain, and it's gorgeous. And this terrible thing happens there, and that's a constant theme throughout the movie, is that this darkness just lies in the middle of all of us. And evil's not ordinary, and it could have been anybody in that town. And that's why it was so hard to find him. In real life, they eventually do catch the murderer who did this. He was caught in 2019. And
that's such a long time.
Yeah.
For a cold case.
And he was already in jail for a rape and murder that he was caught. And then they linked it to these other ones, and then he confessed to killing 14 people, and including all 10 of the serial murders that these are based on. And then he also admitted to more than 30 attempts as well. So this guy was I think he's one of the South Korea's worst serial killers, is who this movie's basically about. So yeah, I mean, it's tough stuff. Great movie. It is one, as tough as it was to watch, it is one that I would like to watch again on a bright sunny day where I can go sit in the sun for a little bit afterwards. but it
Right.
is really good. But we're just about out of time, unfortunately. We're coming up on the end here, so we need to talk about what movies we're watching this week. Hopefully, not
Woohoo.
as much of a downer. Do you know what movies that we're watching this week, or should I tell you?
Well, I think I've got it. I think we're
Okay.
doing Grizzly Man is one
Yes,
of them,
by
right?
Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
He is
Uh,
he's a director I've never seen a movie of,
same.
but he's one that I know who's his name, and I know his face and his voice. Um,
Right,
you
right.
because you've seen
Does he
him.
narrate this too? I think he narrates
I
it too.
believe he narrates it too, but I primarily know him from The Mandalorian, where
Mm,
where he plays the old man who sends Mando on the quest to get Grogu.
okay.
He plays like that old man who's surrounded by in like the first season. He's the one who gives Mando that job.
Oh,
He's the I want to see the baby guy.
oh,
That's
yes.
Werner Herzog. So it was when that show came out. I remember all the film Twitter going crazy because they're like, "Why is Werner Herzog in Star Wars?"
In Star Wars, yeah.
So I don't know what to expect out of this documentary.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the only documentary on this list?
No, I think there's
It's not. Okay.
there's at least one more, but it is pretty light on documentaries overall. This list.
Which I mean, makes sense when you're trying to mass appeal.
Yeah.
Um, but interesting to have. It would be cool to see what will make this a documentary on par with all these other, narrative films.
Yes.
So that's that one. Like you, I know nothing about it other than the description, which is like a man who lives in like the Alaskan wilderness with bears, right?
Yes.
Like that's
all I know.
and I'm like, cool. Let's see how that turns out.
Yeah.
And then the next one I think is Gravity.
I remember when Gravity came out though. Sandra Bullock, George Clooney,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember having no interest in seeing it and having no interest in seeing it in the past 12 years since it's been out, but I remember people talking about it a lot. And this is one of the movies I think I was most surprised to see on the list because I thought it was just like a flash in the pan thriller, kind of like, oh, we all like this movie of Sandra Bullock and George Clooney in space. But
Well, and didn't it come out around the same time as all of the other ones, The Martian, Interstellar, like all of those
it
were
was
around the same time,
we
so
had
it
like a
kind of
big
got lost in the shuffle.
I think so. So I was surprised to see this one here. I've had no desire to watch it. I don't know anything about it. So I'll be interested to see if I enjoy this. That's actually what I'm most curious about this week. Will I like Gravity? Will this turn me around?
Yeah, I mean, I like Sandra Bullock. I like
Yeah.
George Clooney. I'm much like you. Never saw it. Never thought about sitting down to watch it. This was one. My wife had asked what you got next week, and I told her the two movies, and she didn't say anything to me when I was talking about Grizzly Man, and then when I said Gravity, she went, "Ugh." I was like,
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
Okay, so she's
Yeah.
not into it. I guess
So I don't know it. I didn't clarify if she had seen it and that was why she felt that way, or if it's just okay. So I'm very interested to see how this one's going to go.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to both these movies. And I am glad that we've officially started the journey down the list. We've watched 2 films, 98 to go, and yeah, so 98, 97, Grizzly Man, and Gravity for next week. Hope y'all watch it and join us next week as listen to us talk.
Yep. See you guys soon, or here. Yeah, I don't really know what to say.
You guys can
to sign off a podcast. What do you say?
We'll get it. Well,
Catch you later.
Yeah, catch you later, or you'll catch us later, maybe.
Yeah, catch us later.
All right. See ya.
Bye.